My name is Leon, and I am an ordinary programmer. After graduating from university, I joined the renowned company X. I worked diligently there for 8 years, being assigned to various projects, with overtime and late nights being the norm and dark circles under my eyes being standard. Due to my outstanding work performance, I was promoted from a junior programmer to team leader. At the age of 28, I started dating a gentle and lovely girlfriend, and we planned to get married when I turned 30. I thought my life would be spent in this stable manner, but an unexpected turn of events completely changed the trajectory of my life. Company X is a well-established player in the industry, primarily engaged in software development and talent outsourcing, which we refer to as human resource outsourcing, sending programmers to work on-site at various companies. Although it holds an absolute market share, the cumbersome internal processes and large management team have severely affected the pace of business development. To address this, 3 years ago, the Human Resources Department initiated a new talent development program, planning to bring in a group of outstanding professional managers from outside the company, while also launching an internal talent development scheme. The director of my department, Victor, who is also my superior, is a middle-aged man in his 40s. He has been the head of this department since I joined the company. According to previous colleagues, he was one of the earliest to start the business alongside the chairman, rising from an administrative assistant to his current position. He is not from an IT background and does not understand technology, but he is very good at management, often taking credit for his subordinates' achievements and insisting on being named in every major project. The chairman is a very sentimental person, and the company's employment philosophy since its founding has always been, if we can avoid layoffs, we will. Therefore, despite his lack of contributions in the department over the years, as long as he does not make any major mistakes, he can remain until retirement. However, this unspoken rule has been adjusted in recent years due to the impact of the economic environment. While the Human Resources Department is bringing in talent and promoting internal personnel, it is also implementing a personnel streamlining plan, which means layoffs. After the new year last year, employees from various departments began to leave one after another, and colleagues were privately discussing whether they would be the next. The first person to come to me to inquire about this was Charlie, a longtime employee with 10 years of experience in our department. Leon, you have a good relationship with Ivy from HR. Why don't you secretly find out about the layoff list in our department? I interrupted his question. Charlie, the list is confidential. No matter how good the relationship is, they can't tell me. Charlie couldn't get anything out of me and muttered to himself, I can't be fired. I have a family to support, and I have so many mortgage payments every month. Besides, at my age, it's hard to find a job if I get laid off, especially in this job market. I didn't respond to Charlie anymore. My mind was occupied with the fact that Ivy had called me to the conference room for a talk this afternoon. Leon, today's conversation regarding personnel adjustments must remain strictly confidential until officially announced. Do you understand? I nodded, and she looked at me with a light smile. Congratulations, Leon, you're getting a promotion. Ivy is my girlfriend, and no one in the company knows about it. We have always kept a low profile at work, but one time after work, we happened to be spotted by Charlie while having dinner at a restaurant. However, we greeted him openly and explained that we were having dinner to thank her for the help she had given me at work. Charlie is a straightforward person and didn't think much of it. But after that incident, Ivy kept asking me about my future plans. Leon, what do you think? If we get married, according to company policy, one of us would have to leave the company. Why not take this opportunity for me to explore options outside? Ivy blinked at me, looking hopeful. I laughed. Silly girl. If anyone is leaving, it will be me. You're doing just fine here, steady and stable. I've been at the company for 8 years, and if I don't get promoted next year, I'll jump ship to another company. If that doesn't work out, I can always start my own business. You know that project I've been working on after hours? Ivy interrupted me. Isn't the company making personnel adjustments recently? You can wait a bit longer. There might still be an opportunity. Leon, I'm talking to you. Are you even listening? My thoughts were interrupted by Charlie's voice, and I nodded, indicating that I had heard everything. Remember that, he said before returning to his seat, and I began to continue my work. After a while, I received a message from Ivy on my phone. Leon, your birthday is the day after tomorrow, and I've booked a great restaurant. I smiled and replied with a good, took out the diamond ring I had prepared in my bag, and felt an immense anticipation for the day after tomorrow. On the morning of my birthday, as soon as I arrived at the office, Victor called me into his office. Leon, take a good look at this. What is all this? He threw a stack of documents at me. I picked it up and saw that it was all information about the core system of a project I was working on. Last night, I received an anonymous internal report saying that you were involved in stealing client core data, and the evidence is conclusive. You have been terminated by the company. I looked at him in shock. Victor, is there some kind of mistake? What evidence is there that I stole anything? Victor looked at me and said, Leon, does it matter if you stole it? What do you mean, Victor? He laughed a few times, unconsciously puffing out his belly. Leon, do you really think you can climb over me like this? I've been with the chairman for so many years. I can see through your little schemes in an instant. Do you think just because the HR department arranged for your promotion, you can actually get promoted? Let me tell you, crushing you is as easy as squashing an ant. Victor ordered me to pack my things and leave, and he called the security to watch me while I packed. He announced loudly in the office, Leon has been fired for serious violations of company policy. The colleagues looked over in surprise, and Charlie even stood up, wanting to come over and say something to me. I gestured to him with my eyes, and he sat down in shock, while I continued to bury myself in packing my things. Victor continued to raise his voice there, saying to the security guard, You all keep an eye on him. This person has sticky fingers and likes to steal. After saying that, he walked over to me and said in a voice only we could hear, Leon, look at you now. You're just a waste. That night, I went to the restaurant Ivy had reserved in advance as promised. Leon, I'm so sorry. I had no idea about this. If I had received notice in advance, I would have definitely told you. I looked at her expression, which was on the verge of tears, and patted her head. It's okay. It's not your fault. Even if you had known, you have your professional ethics, and you still couldn't tell me. So what should we do next? Have you thought about where to go? Ivy asked with a concerned look. I haven't thought it through yet, but I'm a bit curious about how he got that information. I am always cautious in my work, and this core system data is only on my computer. I always carry my computer with me wherever I go. Leon, stop thinking about it. Today is your birthday. Let's eat first. Ivy interrupted my thoughts and served my favorite shrimp into my bowl. I looked at the table full of dishes, my hand instinctively reaching for the ring box lying in my bag. I had originally planned to propose to Ivy today, but now with this situation. As I was pondering, Charlie called. Bro, I got laid off. Charlie asked me to go out for drinks, and after I dropped Ivy off at home, I went to find him. By the time I arrived, he was already drunk and incoherent, drinking and crying at the same time. When he saw me, he grabbed my arm and started crying. HR said my performance has been poor these past few years, so they fired me. But my performance ranking was low because Victor gave me a low score, just to push his cronies ahead in the department. I actually knew a bit about Charlie's situation. Earlier this year, during the department's work planning, Victor assigned him a few key projects, saying he wanted to nurture him. But the projects themselves were quite challenging, so Charlie was really working hard at that time. When the project reached about 80% completion, Victor assigned him another trivial new project while transferring all the key projects he had been responsible for to his trusted aides, under the pretext of giving the newcomers some training opportunities. Because of this, after a few instances, Charlie was deeply affected, his work attitude became lax, and he started to just go through the motions. They say I'm slacking off, but there are so many people in the department who are slacking off. Just look at Victor, what about him? He comes to work every day just to drink coffee, often disappearing in the afternoon. What exactly are the layoff criteria in our company? Why is it me? Charlie cried and said a lot more, eventually getting so drunk that he passed out on the table. I unlocked his phone with his fingerprint and called his wife, briefly explaining the situation. When his wife arrived, I saw her pregnant belly and initially wanted to say something, but in the end, I said nothing and helped her get him into the car. On the way home, I thought about what Charlie had said, and my heart felt a bit unsettled. I thought about everything I had given to the company, my own situation, and Victor's detestable face from the afternoon, and suddenly felt that I had to do something. I called Ivy. Can you do me a favor? I want the list of employees who were recently laid off and their contact information. What do you need that for? I can't just give you their contact information. It's okay, just their names will do. Leon, well, the people who leave on that day will be automatically removed from the work group at midnight the next day. Why don't you check the records yourself to see the most recent ones? Okay. I didn't want to make it difficult for her. I glanced at the time. It was 10:07 p.m., and there were less than 2 hours left until I was removed from the work group. Leon, I'm sorry I couldn't help you. Ivy's voice sounded full of regret. It's okay. I understand you. Just focus on your work and don't worry about me. After hanging up, I started checking the list of recently removed personnel. Fortunately, I had previously added many contacts due to work. I quickly formed a group and pulled them all into it. Leon, what do you think? Do you have any ideas? Brothers, I know everyone has been laid off recently. So let's get straight to the point. I have a plan. I briefly explained my plan to everyone and changed the group name to An Action. Just as the clock struck midnight, I was removed from the company's work group. I sighed softly, not expecting my 30th birthday to be so unforgettable. At that time, I still didn't know that my girlfriend Ivy, whom I originally planned to propose to, was currently with someone else. Victor, Leon asked me for the list of recent layoffs today, but I didn't give it to him. I'm worried he might take action. Ivy nestled in Victor's arms, her expression slightly uneasy. Baby, what are you afraid of? He's been this pathetic for so many years. I don't see what he could possibly come up with. The wheels of fate began to turn, and at that moment, they had no idea that 6 months later I would return with my partners to make them pay the price they deserved. The next day, after Charlie sobered up, he called me again. Bro, are you serious? Starting a business is always a matter of life and death, and with the current environment being so bad, you might as well find a stable job at another company. With your background, even if you can't be a manager, being a supervisor should be no problem. Charlie, I've thought it through. It's not just a whim. I've had the idea of starting a business for over a year now and have been developing it in my spare time. I can only say that Victor gave me a push. I paused slightly. Everyone else in the group is willing to start a business with me. You're the only one who hasn't replied. What do you think? Charlie was silent for a moment. Then let's start a business. I can't swallow this frustration any longer. My new company is focused on AI apps. I plan to use AI to assist with some basic human resources and simple programming tasks, which will free up some entry-level positions and thus reduce the company's labor costs. However, my initial plan was not like this. Indeed, this project was specifically tailored for Company X. Once businesses start using AI tools more broadly, Company X, which relies on human output as its core business, will inevitably be impacted. I quickly completed the preliminary preparations for the company, such as registration and renting an office, while simultaneously developing the product and seeking investors and clients. Charlie is responsible for outreach, mainly helping me negotiate with clients, while I focus on the core development work. For the first 2 months, in order to get the app online as soon as possible, I basically slept at the office. During this time, Ivy asked me about the company a few times, but I was too busy to explain anything to her. I was thinking that once the company successfully secured funding, I would give her a surprise. Fortunately, the hard work has not been in vain. The progress of the app development has gone smoother than I expected, and the internal testing version has been completed. Once we receive some testing data from companies and the funding is in place, we will be able to develop and launch it smoothly. There have also been good news from Charlie's side, as many companies have expressed interest in our product and are open to further discussions after speaking with Charlie, which has greatly boosted the team's confidence. Bro, we have a meeting with Shintone Company tomorrow morning to introduce our product. Don't forget. Charlie said, sitting across from my desk. Have you prepared the materials? I've been ready for a long time. You don't need to worry about that. I took out the USB drive containing the materials from my drawer and shook it gently. It's foolproof. I'll just sleep at the office tonight. He smiled. All right, then I'll go to your house later to bring you a suit. Dress formally tomorrow, and I'll arrange a celebration dinner for you tonight. The company that Charlie mentioned is a leader in the industry and the first to officially invite us to a meeting. This is our important stronghold, so I decided to negotiate in person. If we succeed, the company will have at least tens of millions in profit each year. Although there is still a significant gap to our goal of acquiring Company X, at least we have made a big step forward. Perhaps I have been too exhausted from the recent consecutive late nights. I sat on the sofa and unknowingly fell asleep. Woken up by the alarm clock, it was already the next morning. Charlie is not at the office. A neatly arranged suit is on the sofa, along with my USB drive. I headed straight from the office. Upon arriving at the communications company, I was quickly taken to the reception room by the front desk. Before long, a girl came in. Hello, Mr. Leon. I'm Megan. I'll take you to the conference room now. I followed her, only to be surprised by the sudden appearance of 2 familiar faces from the conference room. Victor, what are you doing here? I looked at him and his assistant in surprise. Although Company X and Shintone are not exactly competitors, they also have no business dealings, so his appearance here is illogical. This isn't Leon. What a coincidence that we run into each other. The moment I saw Victor, I had a bad feeling in my heart, though I couldn't quite put my finger on it. It's been so long since we last met. I didn't expect you to remain unchanged. He said this while leaning closer to me, whispering, still so naive. After saying that, he laughed heartily and left with his assistant. Do you know each other? Megan asked me, and I nodded, but said nothing more. There were 6 people sitting in the conference room. After a brief greeting with Mr. Henry, we began the product presentation. Our app can interface with your company's existing systems. In addition to using our own features, we can also customize various functional upgrades based on your company's needs. Just as I finished introducing the company and product overview and was about to turn the page to continue, Mr. Henry suddenly interrupted me. Please wait a moment. Mr. Henry glanced at me. Mr. Leon, I have a question. Is this app developed independently by your company? Of course. It was developed by my team and me. I spent a year preparing for it and 3 months developing it. Before I could finish, a middle-aged man sitting closest to me interrupted. Mr. Leon, I really didn't expect someone as young as you to be a habitual offender. What do you mean by that? I said, puzzled, not understanding why he suddenly said this. He let out a cold laugh. What do you mean? Just now, your former boss Victor introduced their company's new product and mentioned that they recently fired an employee for stealing client information. I wonder if there was anything else stolen. To my surprise, the person he was talking about is you. What are you talking about? I didn't steal anything. I unconsciously raised my voice, but the next second, he threw a printed copy of a PPT at me and said in an extremely mocking tone, "Why don't you take a look for yourself, Mr. Leon, and see if you stole anything?" I looked at this document, and on the cover it read, X Company AI New Product Description, signed by Victor. I unconsciously widened my eyes. After opening the inner pages, I was even more shocked. Aside from the company name, company introduction, and font colors, the content description of the core product was almost identical to our company's product description. This is impossible. I can't understand. Although this app was developed by the team together, the core data and today's report materials have all been personally handled by me for over a year. There's no way it could leak, let alone fall into Victor's hands. Mr. Henry's deep voice interrupted my thoughts. Mr. Leon, I think we should stop here for today. Assistant, please see Mr. Leon out. Coming out of the Shintong building, I was still in a daze, unable to comprehend how things had suddenly turned out this way. Just then, a colleague from the company called. Mr. Leon, what was the outcome? I was momentarily at a loss for how to respond. The team had been looking forward to this collaboration for a long time, so I just softly murmured, My colleague might have misunderstood, thinking it was all settled, and then said, That's great. Mr. Leon has stepped in and really got it done. There's something I need to report to you. Charlie didn't come to the office today, and we haven't been able to reach him. Aren't we supposed to go to the celebration banquet later? Charlie hasn't gone to the office yet. Then when did he deliver the suit to me? I recalled the scene from last night when I got drunk to this morning when I just woke up, until I thought of the USB drive next to my suit, but I remember I put it in the drawer. At that moment, it felt like a string in my mind suddenly snapped. I was overwhelmed with mixed feelings, thinking it couldn't be possible, but I just couldn't calm down. Mr. Leon, are you okay? I suppressed my emotions and said, I'm fine. I'll call him. You all go eat first and wait for my news. After hanging up, I called Charlie. He didn't answer. I went to his house to look for him, but he wasn't home. His wife answered the door. Sister-in-law, isn't Charlie home? Leon. Charlie said he went to the celebration dinner with you all. Why? Weren't you going together? I looked at my sister-in-law, who was heavily pregnant, and worried that saying something inappropriate might upset her. So I made an excuse that I had just come back from somewhere else and wanted to stop by to pick him up. Sister-in-law, I'm leaving now. Take care of your health. After leaving Charlie's house, my mood became a bit heavier. I called my colleague at the company and briefly mentioned that Charlie was sick, so we couldn't talk today. However, considering that everyone has been working hard lately, even though it wasn't a celebration banquet, let's treat it as a team-building event reimbursed by the company. I also made an excuse that I had other things to attend to, so I didn't go. The others are quite naive and didn't ask any further. When I got home, I slumped onto the sofa and began to think little by little about what exactly was going on with this situation. At this moment, even if I didn't want to admit it, I knew in my heart that it was highly likely that Charlie had taken the USB drive while I was asleep, given it to Victor, and then casually returned it, causing me to unknowingly lose a major client the next day. But I just couldn't understand why he would do such a thing. What I found even more puzzling was that ever since I was slandered by Victor last time, I had been particularly careful in my work. I had password-protected the files on the USB drive and hadn't told Charlie. Even if he got the USB drive, how would he know the password? Just then, Ivy's phone call came in. Leon, I haven't seen you in a long time. I miss you so much. Can I come over to your house tonight? I'm at home right now, I said, feeling very dejected. Can you come and keep me company? Ivy arrived soon. What happened? What's wrong with you? She gently hugged me. I briefly told her about what happened today and my suspicions, and she looked shocked. How could it be Charlie? I can't understand why he would do this. He clearly knows what kind of person Victor is. And there's one more thing I can't figure out. I looked at Ivy. How could he guess that the password is our anniversary? Ivy was taken aback for a moment, then quickly covered her mouth. Leon, you actually used that as a password. She paused. Could it be that you let it slip? Or did he just keep guessing randomly and happen to get it right? How is that possible? A 6-digit password. How could it be guessed correctly in just 3 tries? How do you know he guessed 3 times? Ivy looked at me in confusion, because at that time I added a program to prevent core data from leaking. If the password is entered incorrectly 3 times, the system will automatically transfer the data to my cloud drive and delete the local files. I would also receive a prompt immediately. Since I didn't receive any prompt, it means he entered the correct password within those 3 tries. So that's how it is. Ivy fell into deep thought. What are you planning to do now? I guess Charlie will be avoiding me for a while, so I can only check with Victor. After all, he can't run away. But you have no evidence. Ivy gently rested her head on my shoulder. Leon, why don't we just let it go? Let's consider it bad luck and switch to another company for collaboration. I don't want to keep being unlucky like this. I need to get to the bottom of this matter. Ivy looked at me with a very determined attitude and didn't say anything more. The next day, I went to the office as usual, and just as I was about to tell everyone that Charlie would be taking a break for health reasons, I received Charlie's resignation letter forwarded by HR. At that time, due to trust, there were no additional clauses for termination in his contract, nor did I have him sign a non-compete or confidentiality agreement. His resignation at this moment added to my doubts about him, but deep down, I still didn't want to believe it. A colleague I had known for 8 years, who had fought alongside me for months, my good brother, would choose to betray me overnight for our common enemy. I adjusted my mood, reassigned his work to others, and also mentioned that I would be developing a new project soon, while the rest of the company continued to follow up on the daily development and operation of this app. After arranging these tasks, I went to Company X. What I didn't expect was to see the person I wanted to see the most at that moment in Victor's office. Leon, what are you doing here? Charlie avoided my gaze and turned to look at Victor. Victor, if there's nothing else, I'm going to get back to work. Don't go, Charlie. It's rare for Leon to come back to see you. Aren't you good brothers? Why leave as soon as you meet? I felt particularly upset and ignored him, still looking at Charlie. Charlie, can you please tell me what's going on? Charlie still didn't dare to look me in the eye, and Victor laughed even more wildly. Leon, you really dare to dream, thinking that making an app could bring down my company and me? How does it feel to be betrayed by your own good brother? In fact, I didn't need Victor to tell me. The moment I saw Charlie, I had already accepted the reality I had been unwilling to face. I just didn't understand. Tell me why? I pressed Charlie. Charlie slowly raised his head, his eyes glistening with moisture. Leon, I'm really sorry. I'm not like you. You're free and unburdened. One person can eat, and the whole family won't starve. My child is about to be born and needs a stable income. Following you in this startup is uncertain, and I'm not young anymore. Why help him? Have you forgotten how Victor treated you before? Victor offered me very good conditions. Not only did he specially apply to the company for me to return through a talent introduction program, but my position and salary were also elevated. He assigned me 3 people and allocated several key projects for me to lead personally. Leon, I really have no choice. I'm sorry. Charlie's voice grew softer, and he finally lowered his head. After hearing Charlie say all this, I felt a mix of emotions. Although his actions are illegal and unethical, I currently have no substantial evidence in hand. Moreover, the conditions Victor offered are indeed tempting, and his choice is understandable. If it were me, I might make the same choice. Originally, I just wanted to ask Victor for the truth, but now I don't know how to face the situation. After a few minutes of silence, I walked dejectedly towards the office door. When I reached the door, I turned back to look at Charlie and said, "There's one more thing I want to ask you. How did you guess the password?" "What password?" Charlie's puzzled expression didn't seem like an act, but before I could ask for clarification, the security guard called by Victor kicked me out of the building. Does he not know the password? I stood in the wind, feeling that things might not be exactly as I thought. My phone buzzed at that moment. It was a message from Charlie. "Bro, I owe you an apology for this. I hope you can let me off the hook for the sake of your sister-in-law and the kids. I really need this job. And about the password you mentioned, I truly don't know." Remembering how I asked for the password earlier, Charlie's expression didn't seem like he was lying. But besides him, there was also the assistant who had just graduated and joined the company. It could only be Victor. But that seemed even less likely. How could Victor possibly know about my relationship with Ivy? Suddenly, there was a loud bang in my head, as if something had exploded in an instant. I started to feel flustered. At that moment, I received a call from an unknown number. Hello, who is this? Is this Mr. Leon? Hello, I am the assistant from Shintong Group. Do you remember me? I remember. You are Megan. What do you need to talk to me about? There are some things I would like to discuss with you in person. When would be convenient for you? I checked the time. An hour later. Choose a place near your company and let me know once you've decided. After hanging up the phone, I let out a sigh. What needs to be faced will eventually have to be faced. I arranged to meet Megan at a cafe near her company. Did Mr. Henry send you to find me? Is it about that last incident? I couldn't think of any other reason she would want to see me. No, it's me who wants to find you. Mr. Henry doesn't know yet. I want to talk to you first before reporting to him. Megan sat across from me, looking at me with sincerity. Please, go ahead. What do you want to talk to me about? Mr. Leon, the one who truly plagiarized is actually that Victor, right? I was astonished to hear her say that. My heart felt as if it had been struck by something. For 2 whole days, my girlfriend and my former good friend have been telling me to let it go, to give up. I never expected that the truth would come from the lips of someone I had only met once. At this moment, the shock in my heart was no less than my reaction when I saw Charlie just now. I took a deep breath to calm my emotions and asked, "Why do you say that?" Because during the report that day, Victor said he was in charge of this project. He told everyone how he had spent years on it, talking about how hard he worked. He glanced at me and said, but in the PPT, he didn't say a word about the core product. It was all his assistant who spoke. Is it really that simple? I was a bit surprised by the girl's sharpness and intelligence. You doubt him just because of this? Megan shook her head gently. It's not just that. I've also noticed that his assistant has particularly heavy dark circles under his eyes, which is clearly a result of long hours at work. Moreover, when I sent them off, his assistant yawned and looked extremely tired. But Victor, he appeared to be full of energy. Especially when you greeted each other in the hallway. He looked so pleased with himself. It didn't seem like someone who often stays up late working on research. Megan looked me in the eye and slowly said, on the contrary, Mr. Leon, you came alone without any assistant, personally explaining everything. And you encountered him before entering the conference room. If you really had plagiarized him, you wouldn't be so calm and composed. Also, your expression at the moment you were told the materials were the same didn't look like an act. It seemed more like a genuine reaction. Finally, the decisive evidence is. She paused, lightly tapping the area under her eyes with her finger, and smiled. The dark circles that come from staying up late don't lie. I looked into her beautiful eyes, and the stone that had been pressing on my heart for 2 days was suddenly shattered. You watched a lot of Conan when you were a kid, didn't you? That's right. I've watched over 1,000 episodes and am familiar with more than 800 methods of killing. If you need it, haha. She smiled mischievously and mimicked Conan's signature line. The truth is always one. I couldn't help but laugh at her adorable antics, chuckling out loud, but still gently shook my head and asked, why do you trust me? We only met once. I could just be pretending. Maybe I plagiarized, or perhaps I was out all night partying. Megan interrupted me and said seriously, because the most important things cannot be seen with the eyes, they must be felt with the heart. You've seen quite a bit, and you even know about the Little Prince. We both laughed, and I suddenly felt that my world was starting to brighten. Actually, Mr. Henry also had his doubts. That Victor doesn't have a good reputation, and in the end, he didn't collaborate with him. So, strictly speaking, you haven't lost. There's still a chance. Megan took a sip of coffee. So what do you plan to do next? I want revenge. I mimicked the tone of a typical teenager. I want those who have hurt me to pay the price they deserve. She laughed at my joke, blinking her big eyes at me. Is there anything that I, this detective, can help with? Why would you help me? I pretended to ask her seriously. She had a serious expression. Because justice may be delayed, but it will never be absent. Megan and I discussed it, and felt that the breakthrough should come from Victor's assistant. He should know how the PPT came about. I'll try to ask him. Megan suggested that I shouldn't go to Company X for now. I can help you try to arrange a meeting with Mr. Henry to give you a chance for a face-to-face clarification. Clarification alone is not enough. I need to show sincerity. So we split up. I went back to the company to continue developing the app, adding some new features. Meanwhile, Megan helped me find Victor's assistant to gather information. Unexpectedly, Megan soon came back with Victor's assistant to see me. Leon, I'm sorry. I didn't know it was your company's product. I didn't expect Victor's assistant to come up and apologize to me right away. It's okay. This isn't your fault. Can you tell me what you know? The USB drive was given to me by Victor the night before. He knows I have a good memory, so he asked me to familiarize myself with all the functions of the testing app on the USB drive, and then to modify both the app and the PPT to our company's version, even changing the development timeline to be earlier. I stayed up all night to get it done. What about the password? How did you know the password? The password was told to me by Victor. At that time, when I opened the USB drive and saw there was a password, he made a phone call and then gave me 3 sets of numbers. It was on the third try that it was unlocked. Victor asked me to copy the files, and then he took the USB drive away again. My heart was racing very fast, with a feeling that was almost overwhelming. I forced myself to endure all the discomfort in my body at that moment, using all my strength to calm myself down. I glanced at him and asked, "Do you still remember what those 3 sets of numbers were?" He nodded. "I remember. The first is..." After he finished speaking, my mindset completely collapsed. The first set of numbers is my birthday. The second set is Ivy's birthday. And the third group is our anniversary. In this world, besides me, there is only one person who knows these 3 sets of numbers. My stomach was churning, as if I was about to throw up at any moment. "Leon, are you okay?" Megan asked with concern, noticing that my expression was off. "I'm fine." I suppressed the nausea inside me and looked at Victor's assistant. "Can you help me?" "I will help you with anything I can." Back at the company, when Victor bullied me, "You were the one who helped me out, and you taught me a lot." He looked at me with sincerity. "It's just that I don't want to lose my job." "Then would you be willing to come to my company and work with me?" He looked up, his clear eyes showing no hesitation, and nodded instantly. "A new member has joined the Ant Action Group. Although he just graduated not long ago, he has many ideas and great talent, and he quickly integrated into the group. Previously, he not only did his own work, but also took on some of Victor's secretarial duties. Perhaps out of guilt towards me, he voluntarily took on many administrative tasks for the company, such as helping everyone organize invoices. One afternoon after work, he came to the office to see me. I suddenly thought of something, and I don't know if it will be useful to you. He sat across from me and handed me a notebook with some restaurant addresses written in it. "What is this?" I asked, somewhat confused. "This is an invoice I helped Victor reimburse before. It's for restaurants he often goes to. He always claims it's for treating guests, but he actually doesn't have any clients to entertain." My eyes lit up. "Please continue." "And there are these." I felt something was off, so I noted them down as well. "These are the office supplies he purchased in the name of the department, and the computer configurations are all top-notch. But what we actually used doesn't match the specifications. But the company has standards for reimbursements, and all assets need to be checked and recorded one by one. Although you have been in the company for a while, there are many things you may not be as clear about as I am, being in a lower position." "What does it mean?" "Every department actually has some special approval authority, and many reimbursements that go through special approval have no standards. As for what you mentioned about the inventory, it has indeed been entered, but previously at Company X, as far as I know, asset audits are only done once every few years." He paused for a moment and continued. "I guess the chairman has probably already noticed. After all, financial reports can't lie, and there are audits. I've also privately asked some finance colleagues I'm familiar with, and the amount Victor has been reimbursing in recent years is less than in previous years. I suspect the chairman has probably given him some private warnings, but out of consideration for feelings, he hasn't said it outright. Instead, he wants to gradually balance this part of the accounts through layoffs." He didn't continue, but I had already understood everything. "Can you still get in touch with that finance colleague you mentioned?" "She was laid off too. Honestly, if it weren't for you, I probably would have been laid off soon as well. Contact her and ask if she's interested in coming for an interview at our company tomorrow. Victor is really terrible, and Company X is about to be hollowed out by these pests. And we, who live at the very bottom and toil like ants, are about to launch our comprehensive counterattack. Ivy and I have maintained a lukewarm relationship during this time. To prevent her from becoming suspicious, I told her I had booked a high-end restaurant. Things have been going well at work lately, and I've been too busy to pay attention to you. I've prepared a surprise for you." Her tone on the phone sounded full of happiness because the day I chose was our anniversary. She must have thought I would propose to her that day. Megan helped me schedule a meeting with Mr. Henry, and I went to his office with the revised materials and sincerity. After more than 2 hours, Mr. Henry finally accepted my collaboration proposal. "I will explain this situation to the department head from the last meeting again." He paused. "The assistant wasn't wrong. You are indeed an excellent person. I look forward to your product launch." I returned to the company with good news, and my colleagues were overjoyed. Everyone knew what this collaboration meant for us, and the good news didn't stop there. Mr. Henry also introduced us to some other large corporate clients through his connections. With Mr. Henry and Shintong's endorsement, once the funds were in place, our app was quickly launched. I thought the news would soon reach Victor. "Let me make you happy for a few more days." Through Mr. Henry's connections, I contacted the senior partner responsible for auditing Company X and briefly explained the situation to him. Soon, they established a special task force to investigate the accounts and processes of Company X over the past few years. As a result, not long after, Company X experienced a major upheaval internally, and its stock price was significantly affected. Victor, like several other departments, received varying degrees of internal punishment as a result. Meanwhile, our company launched a second AI app aimed at individual users, with the core function of helping everyone improve work efficiency, freeing them from repetitive, transactional tasks to engage in more creative and innovative work. Once the app was launched, it received widespread acclaim in the market and quickly rose to the top of the free app rankings. As a result, we also received investments from several investment firms. Thus, in just 6 months, we miraculously succeeded in going public and became a legend in the industry. At the same time, we officially launched the plan to acquire Company X. My colleagues and I are about to succeed. When I went to Company X again, I brought all the employees of the company. Each of us was laid off from here. This time, there was no security guard's obstruction, nor Victor's loud shouting. What greeted him was a look of complete astonishment on his face. "What are so many of you doing here together? Are you going to beat me?" He unconsciously leaned back into the corner. "Victor, do you still remember who we all are?" Everyone stood in front of him in a line, each stating their department position and name one by one. "We are all the ants you once looked down upon the most. At the bottom, we do the most basic repetitive work every day. There is no hope, we cannot see our future, and we can be discarded by the company at any time." I glanced at Victor, who had retreated to the corner, his body trembling slightly, and coldly smiled. But even the most inconspicuous ants have their own value. "Now, it is the ants' turn to judge you." His former assistant stepped forward and said to him, "I will report you for stealing the company's trade secrets. Get ready to go to prison." "You have no evidence," Victor shouted hoarsely. "I have evidence." Charlie stood outside the door and glanced at me from a distance. "I have evidence. I recorded everything you said to me that day when you asked me to steal Leon's USB drive." "Charlie, you ungrateful bastard, you're burning the bridge after crossing it. When I fall, you won't have a good outcome either. If you report me, you'll go to jail with me. By the time you get out, at your age, with a criminal record, what kind of job can you find?" I interrupted Victor's mad howling. "Thank you, Charlie. I'll wait for you to come back." Charlie's eyes instantly turned red. Victor's eyes were also red. He finally slumped helplessly to the ground. His voice choked with tears as he said, "But I still can't understand why Mr. Henry would believe you. I thought I had done enough." I watched him contort into a greasy expression, his belly almost bursting out of his suit, at that moment like a pile of ruined mud that had been played with, and I coldly smiled. Because justice may be delayed, but it will never be absent. Ivy's makeup today is exquisite, her attire appropriate, as she gazes at me with affectionate eyes from across the table. If it were 6 months ago, I would have definitely thought she was the best person in the world to me. I would spend my whole life loving her, cherishing her, and giving her happiness and joy. At this moment, when she placed her hand on mine, gently touching as she used to, I decisively shook it off. "What's wrong with you? I have something I want to say to you." "I'm ready, go ahead." Ivy's eyes were filled with laughter, and she must be thinking of the plot of The Wife of a Listed Company President. "Do you know what day it is today?" "How could I forget? Today is the anniversary of our relationship." "That's right. Today is our anniversary." I paused for a moment. "So I prepared a surprise for you." Ivy tried hard to control her expression, making herself look less excited, and deliberately feigned innocence in her voice. "What surprise is it?" "Close your eyes." I supported her, walking step by step to the floor-to-ceiling curtain. "You can open your eyes now." She saw the ground covered in roses and couldn't help but cover her mouth. "Darling, are you going to? Let's watch a short film together." Ivy must have thought that at this moment, the screen would display our sweet moments from the past. Then our friends and family would come out from behind the screen, presenting flowers and blessings. Aren't proposal scenes always like this? I forced myself into her little drama, experiencing her feelings, until I was awakened by her sharp scream. "Leon, are you crazy?" The screen displayed the unsightly scenes of her and Victor, her Jiaochen sung echoing back and forth. "You're the crazy one, Ivy." Ivy didn't expect this. After screaming, she frantically searched for the switch to turn off the projection. When she realized she couldn't find it, she came over, knelt in front of me, and hugged my legs, saying, "Leon, I was wrong. Will you forgive me?" My voice had no warmth, my tone was cold, and I only said 3 words. "Why?" Ivy saw my resolute attitude, wiped her tears, and began to tell me the reasons one by one. I had a major mistake at work before, and I was supposed to be fired, but it was Victor who pleaded for me to stay. During that time, you were especially busy, and he showed concern for me. At first, I kept rejecting him, but later, Leon, you only think about work. You have never cared about me. He promised that as long as he was there, I could be promoted and stay in the company. You never thought about what I really need. I listened to her words with a heart as calm as still water, then silently turned and left. Leon, why can you forgive Charlie but not me? Can you give me a chance? Ivy shouted at my back. I stopped in my tracks. Did you ever give me a chance when you and Victor were together, laughing and plotting how to suppress me and trample me underfoot? I did not look back. A few days later, I learned from others that Ivy had left the company. In the break room of Company X, her gossip began to circulate. She finally realized her long-held dream. One day, I want to be the focus of conversation even in the break room. Hey, what are you thinking about? Megan waved her hand in front of my eyes. You're not thinking about your ex-girlfriend, are you? What are you talking about? I pretended to be angry and gently held her hand. So, when did you start to know? She asked me. Know what? That she was cheating. Megan pretended to be angry. In front of your current partner, you will have one more ex. All right, I won't tease you anymore. I looked at her and smiled. You want to ask when I started to know that you are Mr. Henry's daughter, right? That's right, I definitely never said that. No one in the company would say it either. She fell into deep thought. Then please guess, Detective Megan, how I found out. I couldn't help but laugh again at the serious look on her face as she pondered. I can't guess, she pouted, starting to act cute. You have to tell me quickly. It was when I reported the plan to your dad that I asked him directly. Megan's eyes widened. But how did you guess? Because I opened her hand and took out the rose I had prepared on the table. Inside was the custom engagement ring I had specially ordered, gently placed in the palm of her hand. The most important things cannot be seen with the eyes. They must be felt with the heart. So, Ms. Megan, are you ready to be my one and only rose?